Hi guys, so it is Tuesday the 20th I think of July. I'm going to do a very quick garden tour. We've had some blazing heat and we're now supposed to get some thunderstorms, so despite the weeds I'm going to do a tour just in case everything gets flattened. But firstly I want to show you this little area. So this was the spring area, sort of the area in spring that gets all the daffodils and looks really nice and then gets overgrown. For my birthday I got a new lawnmower, which I'm really excited about. How sad is that? I'm so pleased to have got this lawnmower, which can now tackle, you know, sort of bigger fields or rougher ground. So I've managed to clear this slightly. There's still a lot more work to be done, but yeah, so I'm really pleased with that. Anyway, on to this area. I've got some hostas in here. They're all doing well. One of my hostas is flowering. These are the toad lilies that will come out in sort of, I think, September, October time, or September possibly. We've got more of the hostas and ferns. This fern is doing really, really well. I have got a bit of slug damage on some of them, but yeah, other than that, they're all looking good. Sorry, I'll try and turn slowly. As I've said, you'll have to excuse the weeds. I've had an absolute field day on the vegetable plot, but I haven't got around to this part yet. So that hosta has also been attacked quite badly. That one hasn't been touched. Random. A couple of hollyhocks that have now come out. My bamboo. Another fern down there. That one's growing quite well actually. And that little cyclamen, I think that was bought for me either as a Mother's Day present, or it could even have been bought at Christmas time. It's survived in the house. I've tried to kill it on numerous occasions and it keeps on coming back every time I water it. So it's now stuck out there, and it seems quite happy. Let's use the sun lounger. These have bloomed once or twice. I am going to cut them back down this winter down to the bottom because they have grown up quite happily from the bottom. All these hollyhocks have now flowered. I've got a full range of colours here in those. They look absolutely fantastic. Excuse me, a rather dead looking tomato bush, but it is still producing and turning, so I do keep watering it. And then down into this area, I'll include that bit as well actually, because yeah, it doesn't look as nice on the screen as it does in real life, but there we go. So we had landcress that's going to seed there, carrots that I am eating at the moment, and spinach, which is also going to seed. Those will be disappearing soon. This is a whole pot of basil. I just chucked a whole packet of seeds in to see what will happen. I've got a couple of fuchsias there that have done very well. Those were stocks, I think, that are now turning to seed, but they've been absolutely great. And these little nicotina plants, they've been absolutely fab as well. Into here, into this massive pots with nasturtiums, lobelias, geraniums. This little one down here, the Safina, I think that's such a pretty little thing and it's done quite well. There are some dwarf dahlias in there. They haven't really been up for much. Probably won't bother with them next year. My wisteria, oh look, I'm getting a second flowering. I hadn't noticed that. Where is it? There. Second flowering of wisteria. That's the only one I think of. Oh, I can smell it now as well. That's the only one. But look, it's now starting to climb the roof. I will get told off and get told to cut it down soon. And then this is my nightmare bed, which, yeah, really doesn't look very good. It has been looking absolutely great. So dahlias have done well. Lots of little dahlias and some more nicotianas and what's it called? Hollyhocks. Lovely colour of hollyhocks there. I get this rust all over my plants. I do need to go down. I mean, it doesn't affect the plants, obviously. It just doesn't look great. So I do need to go down and strip off the bottom leaves, which is what I normally do. I do need to do that. And there's another pot there full of all the nasturtiums, geraniums, lobelias, and some poppies. And then in the middle here, I actually planted up a whole load of, I put some peppers and some tomatoes that I had left over that I can fit into the vegetable bed. And so they're in these pots. And I think I've got a couple of I've got some flowers there. I've got some tomatoes on these ones. And I might have a little chili pepper. Woo-hoo. So yes, now I'm going to go round. This is the wheelbarrow. Mainly the nasturtiums seem to have done that. Oh, there's a few dead things in there as well. We've been away for a week. We had a week away and it was really, really hot, and so a few things have died, but there we go. And then get into what I would call the jungle. I'm going to sit down and see if it looks any better from here. It's all got a little bit out of control. Everything is flowering and it's looking great. It's just not where I thought it was going to be, and I've deliberately left my washing line in this time because there's a story to tell about that. But anyway, so if you sit down here, you do feel like you're completely enclosed by the garden, which is quite nice. So up close we have lots of hollyhocks. The yellow is Achillea. Love the smell of Achillea. I mean, it doesn't smell, it's when you sort of mess around with the leaves and things that you get the smell. That plant over there I will talk about in a minute. My daisies of some sort have come out. Got a lot of deadheading to do, a lot of poppies. Oh, a few weeds there, nice big tall weeds, great. Various things to save from seed. One rather droopy sunflower. But these are all self-sown sunflowers. So they're fantastic because they're self-sown. But I really didn't think it through. So we've got more here. And look at these, all the way up there. I mean, I'm 5'7". I think that one in the middle must be hitting at least, well, at least 12 foot, I think, for those hollyhocks. Look at this little bit. Oh, he's looking a bit sad now. He's a bit happier. He's a bit new to the gang. So yes, my issue is that my sunflowers have grown up and are in my washing line. So I'm really struggling to get my washing dried at the moment. Not struggling, but I can only use two sides. So when I use two sides, it makes it all really wobbly. But anyway, but the biggest issue would be, oh, I can't believe I'm having to admit this, would be this plant here, which as you can see is grown and grown and grown. It's spread all the way out. Now, a couple of years ago, I went to a very nice, sorry, wobbled it there. A couple of years ago, I went to a very nice garden and brought back with me some plants to put in the ground, put them in. And I thought this was one of the plants I'd put in. So I've let it grow and let it grow. And eventually, because I'd lost the labels, eventually I went to the plant app on my phone. And it turns out this is lesser burdock, a very invasive weed. So I've managed to cultivate a huge weed in my flower bed, thinking that it was going to be a flower. I'm loath to take it out now, partly because if I take it out, there's just going to be a massive gap. And it does say that when it does flower, it's a very important food source for the painted lady butterfly. So that's my excuse for leaving it at the moment, but it will get moved. I might well put it in the field next year, for next year. But yeah, it's a bit of a pain. And then obviously, because it has these sticky things on it, which is how it gets spread around, they get stuck to my washing on the washing line. So there we go. Nice little colourful corner here, poppies, marigolds I think they are, and this plant at the back, the pink and the silver, I absolutely love that one. Look at all the, I don't know if you can see all the, I think they're hoverflies more than anything. Oh my god, it's absolutely heaving, this poppy bush. But there we go. So I will take you around the back. This is my giant Himalayan lily that I was told was going to take about sort of 6 years to grow to full height, flower once and die. It's nowhere near full height. When we were on holiday, we did actually see a couple of these in a garden we went to that were, you know, good 8 foot, 9 foot tall. But mine would appear to be threatening to flower already. But anyway, doesn't matter. It's supposed to look nice and smell very nice. It's my weed. Now it's getting a bit difficult. We might get a bit of glare here from the sun. Sorry, sunflowers. But now we're into hollyhock city. These have all just gone berserk. But they're fine. Got some nice little blue flowers in there. This is the problem, because they're in the wrong place, I can't get to anything in the middle really. And yeah, but there we go. And then this area, which, because these weren't supposed to be here, the sun should be able to get to those, but it can't quite so well. But I have got one of my poppies is flowering. Look at my gladioli at the back. I'm so pleased with that. Got lots of pretty little things in here that you can't really see. It's all a bit chaotic. It is a jungle at the moment. Now this plant, this is one of the plants I did buy at this posh garden that I went to, that has done really, really well this year. And then I've just looked it up again on the plant app, and again, it's considered to be a weed. But I saw this one we were at Biddulph Grange actually, and I saw this, no, we weren't at Biddulph Grange. Oh well, anyway, we were at some garden centre in a national trust, and I saw that. So yeah, I appear to be good at growing weeds, although it is very pretty, and again, absolutely humming with hoverflies. Well, hoverflies or horseflies or whatever they are. So there we go. More of this lovely, lovely pink and silver. I will look to see what that is called. That's the first time this has flowered. It's lovely. More daisies over there. More hollyhocks and more nettles. And a little busy bumblebee. Right, so now we go, excuse the swing round, down to this side. And yet more hollyhocks. Those salmon pink ones are lovely colours. Daisies. I think, is that an echinacea or something? I don't know, I'm just bandying plant names around now. I've no idea what I'm talking about. Achillea, pretty hollyhock. This is the pheasant bush, which is doing there. I think this is lady's mantle or lace mantle or something. Very delicate, very pretty, completely dwarfed, needs to be moved. This, I thought I got rid of it all, is like a very small version of the sea thistle. It's actually a really pretty blue, and that one doesn't have the spikes on it that the sea thistle had. So I will keep that. More weeds to be pulled out, not those obviously, but there are weeds in front of me, sorry. And then this, you can't see it so well now, is my favourite colour combination of the two plants. So I've got this purple, is it a geum or a geum type? It's something like that. And this pink and silver. It doesn't look so good now because all the pink's over. But oh, it just looks stunning together when it's all in full bloom and it blooms at the same time. And a huge mound of daisies. Down to this area, nothing has happened here. Very, very dry. Something's been digging it up, not the dog. A couple of weeds have come through. My nasturtiums that I put in seem to have died. Yep, so that's fine. Oh, I have got a hollyhock seeded over there in the far corner. So that's fine. I mean, this does actually get a lot more sun than I thought it did, but it is very, very dry. So I think I will, when I plant it up next year, I will make sure that I sort of aim for dry plants, or plants that like it dry, and hopefully we shall see. Through the field, bit of ragwort there. I need to go and pull the ragwort out of the field, and then we'll give you a taste-spin of the jungle. So you'll have to excuse slightly messy up in that corner. I was weeding yesterday in the heat. Literally, I was watering the plants with sweat as I was weeding. It was just ridiculous, and it just got to the point where I just downed tools and gave up. So in amongst here, I'll show you from these side. These are my globe artichokes that seem to be doing quite well. This end here, all the sunflowers from the pre-seed packet from Morrison's. They were late going in, but they seem to be doing well. I will talk about these all when we get around to the front, but at the back occasionally we can see, and I do like going pumpkin and squash hunting. Sorry, I don't know if I can leave this. Woohoo! So we've got quite a few seeds. There's some cucumbers, one at each post that I need to tie up, and then we just have this mass of, oh, and a big weed, mass of plants. Now I had a few more, I thought, I don't know. So we'll go round. Okay, so the tree herbs are going over. Basically, I need to sort of trim them all back, cut them all back. And this is a huge one. This is I think this is the fennel that has now seeded itself in my flower bed as well. Then we're down into here. I had a whole load of lettuce and things. I pulled that all out and I've put some more in. So this is just common mixed lettuce, which I much prefer. Can't remember what that was. That's landcress, some radish. These are the salsify that's doing very well. 2 types of carrots that are doing very well. And the row of Welsh onions to the side, which are doing very well. So, whoops, strawberry patch. The strawberries are now over. They've been absolutely prolific. I've had a huge amount of strawberries, but unfortunately they're not overly flavourful. I didn't buy strawberries when I first started. I won some in a competition, put them in, and these were all from the original plants. I think I only won about, I don't know, probably 10, 15 plants. These have all multiplied up since then. Yeah, and they're just not particularly strong tasting. So I've frozen a whole load to go into crumbles. I've made a whole load of jam, because once you put sugar with it, it tastes a lot better, which is the general rule with sugar, isn't it? So I think I probably will keep those, because they are good for, you know, you get such a glut. It's good for jam and crumbles and whatnot. But I might well buy myself a new variety next year for sort of fresher strawberries, just to eat as strawberries. Rhubarb that's doing very well. Blackcurrant bush at the back. I've taken one harvest off of that. There are a few blackcurrants left to pick that weren't quite ripe. I've made myself some homemade blackcurrant ice cream, which is absolutely delicious out of that. Gooseberries and a weed. Those 2 at the back are red gooseberries. They're not quite ready yet. These 2 at the front are green gooseberries. I think in June, I read somewhere that sort of most of the fruit tends to grow in 2. And if you pick one out in June and then leave one, it'll get really big and juicy. So I tried that, and with the ones I bought in, or the ones I picked in June, I made a cake, like a sort of gooseberry crumble cake, which was very nice. And then I've just harvested all of these off these 2 bushes. And I mean, they were so sweet, you could eat them off the bush. They were absolutely delicious. So I've made another cake, which is now gone. I only made it yesterday and it's gone already. And I'm going to put some into some crumbles and pies today. So yeah, really pleased with my gooseberries. The raspberries are out of control. No, they're not, but they're doing really, really well. And in the back, I have got my blueberries. These front 2, oh, you can't see, the front 2 are quite laden with fruit. The back 3 aren't, to be expected. I need to net the front 2, otherwise the birds are going to have the berries before I get there. Those are my first early potatoes, Anya they're called, which is like a pink fir apple. I have started harvesting them. They're absolutely delicious, but as you can see, I've had to corral them a bit. So when we got back, they'd grown so tall and they'd just flopped and they were drowning everything else out. So I've had to do it with all 3 types of potatoes. I've had to sort of shore them up a bit like this. And now I'm a bit concerned, obviously, because we're supposed to be getting rain this weekend and whatnot, and that's quite high risk for blight now that I've got them. Oh, sorry, excuse the finger. Now that I've got them all sort of laying on top of each other like that. So I'm going to look up to see whether you can just cut and leave 2 or 3 leaves, cut the height off of it, but leave 2 or 3 leaves, and hopefully it'll still help the potatoes to grow, or whether I'm just going to have to leave it like that. Because I know when you have potatoes in the ground, you can cut the tops off and that hardens the skin, but I don't particularly want to do that, which can save you, you know, you can leave them in the ground for longer. I don't particularly want to do that yet, but we shall see. So anyway, that's the first lot, which have done really, really well, tasting lovely. These are the pink fir apples. I mean, this one here, that's shoulder height for me. It's just ridiculous height to have on the top of the potatoes. So as you can see, these are crowd again, so I won't be harvesting those till August, September, although they've all flowered, which I'm a bit concerned about as well. 2 yellow courgette plants. These were being covered by those potatoes, but I cleared them up yesterday and gave them really good watering, so hopefully they'll come along nicely. Excuse the pile of weeds on the floor. Lettuce, which is beginning to run a bit. There's still a lot there I can harvest. I need to find some more lettuce recipes. A few radishes that have gone to seed. Spinach that's slowly starting to go to... No, that's still lettuce. Sorry, spinach that's slowly starting to go to seed. Good Lord, I can't talk anymore. Do apologise. I think I will probably pull those up and just strip what I can and use what I can. We then have celery, which is doing really, really well. And on the far side is parsley, flat leaf parsley, that's doing very, very well. Come round. These are the beetroot. So these are the multi-stained beetroot. Well, I sowed them in modules first of all and then put them in. I really like the idea of it, but I do struggle with it a bit. I never seem to get enough. I mean, that one's excessively out of the ground, but I think I knocked that with the hose pipe yesterday. I never seem to get them deep enough into the ground, so the top halves are always quite woody. And then these are the ones that I sowed direct drills straight into the ground. Really, they should be thinned out, but actually when you look down, when you get right down, they're not that... I don't know if I can do this now without either dropping them. They're not that on top of each other, so I'm going to leave them for the moment. I hate thinning things out. I'd rather have wonky shaped smaller fruit and veg and eat it all than thin them out. In these meshes here we've got I've got cabbage, Brussels, broccoli and the two netted bits. I need to raise them up a little bit, as you can see. I've got enough netting to do that, so that's fine. That's the job for today. And I need to weed in there. I haven't got into those two areas yet. At the back, oh no, hang on, we'll start from here then. So from here we start this mass of pumpkins and squashes. Oh look, there you go, you can see one there. And then there's another one. Where's that funny coloured one? No, I will find it later. But in between here are my tomatoes. So I don't know quite what I was thinking when I did this. I probably wasn't thinking, to be honest with you. But essentially, we've had a really, really good growing season. So we've had lots of sun and then mass bursts of rain and then lots of sun again. And we don't normally get that. And my squashes and things and pumpkins, I always tend to think don't really start doing much until the middle to back end of August, and then I start sort of watering them a bit because I think, oh, they're a bit dry, and then they grow. But obviously, because we've had such a great year, they've just grown like mad already. So they're coming in around the tomatoes, which actually don't seem to be too disturbed about it. These tomatoes are fab. These are determinate, so I don't have to stake them. I don't have to pinch them out at all. I have got, you can't see them particularly well, but I have got fruits forming. I've got a couple of two tiny red tomatoes. There's my cucumbers again. But yeah, but it is just a bit chaotic in there. And then, so I think, yeah, so sorry, I was waffling on about where I'd gone wrong. So basically in here, some French beans, and these are runner beans. And I'd sort of assumed that they would have been over and done with, harvested, by the time these had really started growing forwards and come forwards, which was why I thought, well, I'll place them there, because then by the time those are done, these will have the room to move. But I think my runner beans were late going in because they kept on getting caught by the frost. And then obviously with the rain and the sun, it's all got a bit out of control. But hey. So yeah, I've got lots of runner bean flowers, so hopefully I'll get some runner beans. And pumpkin, various pumpkins and squashes in here. So actually, so I'm going to work from this way because the sun's behind me and you won't see a thing. Not new potatoes. These are my main crop of potatoes, Cara. Again, lots of flowers on them already, which, I mean, I wasn't expecting to harvest them until September, October time. In here, so it's a bit difficult to tell the difference. These are leeks. That's salsify. So I did have a few rows of leeks going up and down here. The smaller ones have just been completely flattened by the potatoes as they flopped over. So I've given up with those really, but I'll have, like, I think I've managed to get 4 or 5 leeks to grow this year. Courgette plant down here, which again had been completely overgrown by the, flattened by the potatoes. You can see how it's all growing out to one side to try and catch the sun. A few courgettes to harvest off of that. Salsify is doing well. Sweet potatoes, 2, 3, 5 sweet potatoes in. They're growing, so that can only be good. Parsnips are doing good. And this little area I will leave, I've got some seed to put in. So I need to sow those fairly soon. Little mini pumpkin or squash. And I think that is about it for this area. I'll sort of try and walk with you without getting the sun all over it. So you can still see, it's just I mean, I love pumpkin plants, and I love, you know, I love the leaves, I love the flowers and everything, but yeah, they've got a bit out of control this year. But hey, that'll be good fun. I need to pick those pile of weeds up. And I think that is about coming to the end of it now. Go around here. So this is a little bulb bed. Some of them are doing well. Some of them need watering. I haven't touched this yet, so this still needs weeding. The biggest issue, or a lot of the issue, I think, is obviously all this crap on the other side of the fence, which I struggle with every year. But next year, now I have my new lawnmower and my strimmer, hopefully I'll be able to get on top of it in the spring and then just keep on top of it by mowing. Although I do actually have plans to put, I would like to put an asparagus bed in this section on the other side of the fence. I'm going to start going into the field next year. And then hopefully that'll sort out a whole load of these. But obviously they're just not getting the sun because of all the nettles and the weeds. So that's today's job, is to try and clear that fence line a little bit. So that's it. One last, the gate that goes nowhere. It looks very green. Looks very busy. We'll just have to see whether anything actually comes of it. And then, so one final. And that's it. Bye.